Oh my gosh, okay, so I hope you all liked the intro for this Amethyst Witch makeup. Me and Clinton worked super hard on it and I couldn't be happier with how it came out. I'm also so excited to say that this video is my entry to the 2019 NYX Face Awards. So without further ado, let's just jump into the tutorial. Before you can get started on the actual makeup application, there is a little bit of prep work. I made these crystal clusters using a styrofoam head as a base to work on. If you happen to have a life cast, that would be the ideal way to do this because you'll be able to size it specifically to your face. But if you're like me and you don't just have a life cast laying around, these styrofoam heads work fine, and they're pretty inexpensive at Michael's or other craft stores. You could also mold these onto a flat surface, but just keep in mind that they aren't very flexible, so if they're molded flat, it'll make the actual application a little bit harder. I made all of these crystal clusters using the same technique, so I'm going to specifically show you how I did the piece that goes over my eye because it's the most difficult to do. So I first sized out a ripped up piece of toilet paper to get an idea of how big I wanted the prosthetic to be. You want to plan on gluing it around your orbital bone, not directly on your eye, because that will give you some cushion in case you were to fall with this on, and it will also keep you from putting any glue directly on or too close to your eye. So I first put down a layer of liquid latex, added the piece of toilet paper on top, and then covered that in another layer of liquid latex. I ended up doing about 3 layers of latex and toilet paper, just using a blow dryer in between layers to speed up the drying process. Once that was done, I took some hot glue and laid down a thin layer where my actual eye would be, just to create even more of a cushion. To glue down these crystals, which I actually got from Michael's, I started in the middle of the prosthetic, put down a dot of hot glue, stuck the crystal into it, and then put a ring of hot glue around it to keep it secure. I just repeated this process with each individual crystal, trying to keep the longest crystals in the middle and working my way outward using smaller crystals. This gives it almost a layered effect as opposed to all the crystals being the same size. Once I've got all of the crystals glued down, I'm then removing the prosthetic from the foam head by starting to peel up one of the edges and then using translucent powder on a fluffy brush to keep the piece from sticking to the styrofoam head or itself. You just want to do this very slowly to prevent the prosthetic from ripping. And there you go, you've got yourself a nice lightweight crystal cluster prosthetic. Now to move on to the actual makeup. I'm first going in with a hydrating primer to prep my skin. For my base, I'm taking a custom mix of cream paints to get this light purple color. I used mostly white and mixed in a little bit of blue and pink on the back of a makeup palette to get the right shade. I'm applying it first with a flat top foundation brush and then taking a damp sponge with no product on it to smooth it out. This is my favorite way to get a nice even base and to keep it from getting patchy or looking too cakey. You could stencil out where your prosthetic is going to sit and just avoid that spot, but I just decided to kind of eyeball it and wipe off the extra paint later. Next, I'm taking a lighter mix of the same colors underneath my eyes and underneath my cheekbones to highlight those areas. I'm also adding a little bit to the tip of my nose and blending it out the same way. I'm using a translucent setting powder on a big fluffy brush to set my whole face, which will prevent my base from creasing as well as make it easier to blend shadow on top of it. To contour, I'm taking a dark purple eyeshadow on an angled contouring brush and I'm applying that underneath my cheekbones, around my temples, and then going in with a damp sponge just to blend everything together. I wanted a strong contour, but I didn't want it to look harsh, so going back in with the sponge just keeps everything looking really smooth. Next, I'm contouring my nose using a small fluffy eyeshadow brush and that same dark purple shadow. Moving on to eyes, I wanted to do a really dramatic cut crease, so I'm first starting with a base of white concealer. Anytime I'm doing bright colors like this, I like to use a light base to help the shadows show up as vibrantly as possible. Then, with the base still being a little bit tacky, I'm taking the same dark purple shadow that I contoured with and pressing that into my lid right above where my natural crease is. I like to do pressing motions first to pack on the color and then take a clean fluffy brush with no product on it to blend out the edges. This way you get the most color payoff. Once everything is as blended and as pigmented as I wanted, I cut my crease using the same white concealer as before on a small flat concealer brush and start stamping it on because it gives it a cleaner edge. To set the concealer, I'm using a white eyeshadow first and then adding a silver shimmer shadow right underneath where I cut the crease. I wanted to create an ombre effect underneath the cut crease, so I took some more of that dark purple shadow and added it to my lash line and blended it up close to the silver shadow. Then I'm taking some purple liquid glitter eyeshadow just to enhance where I put the silver. For my brows, I already blocked out the outer half of my brow before I did my base, and then now I'm taking the NYX white liquid liner to create a more pointed shape than what my actual brows are. Next, I'm laying down some NYX glitter glue and adding some individual gems along where I cut the crease. For liner, I'm taking the NYX Epic Ink liner and doing a winged liner, as well as bringing it down into a point in my inner corner. I like to do this because it elongates my eye shape, which I really like. I then brought down that same dark purple eyeshadow underneath my eye and blended it out to tie the whole look together. For lashes, I'm first coating my top and bottom lashes with the NYX white liquid liner, then gluing on top lashes and cut up bottom lashes, also already coated in the NYX white liquid liner. You could also use white mascara or white water activated paint for this. Just use what you have. Back in with the purple liquid glitter shadow from before, and I'm putting that on the tip of my nose and on my cheekbones for a really glittery highlight. For my lipstick, I'm going in with NYX's liquid suede lipstick in Amethyst, which I felt was pretty fitting for this look, all things considered. Now for the funnest part of this look, applying the prosthetic. This part is actually relatively simple. I start by taking a skin-safe adhesive and I'm applying that around my eye and brow bone. I already went over my brow with a glue stick off camera to protect my brow hairs from getting ripped out. I always do this as a precaution anytime I'm adding glue near my brows at all. After a few minutes, I tapped the glue to make sure it was tacky, and then I started applying the prosthetic. Because this piece is on the heavier side, I decided to add some liquid latex and toilet paper around the edges just to make sure that it was super secure and also that the edges were blended well. Then once everything is dry, I'm going in with that same cream paint mixture I used for my base and just started adding that to the prosthetic to blend everything in. I love adding fake freckles to my looks, so I went in again with that NYX white liquid liner and just added some freckles around my nose and onto my cheeks. I then decided to add some purple stick-on gems around the edge of my prosthetic, one to help hide the seams as well as just to give it some cute accents. Then just add a witch hat and you're pretty much done. If you guys liked this tutorial, definitely give it a thumbs up. Also, definitely take a second to go check out my boyfriend Clinton. I'll have all of his links in the description below. He helped film and edit this entire intro, and he is genuinely one of the most talented people I know. So definitely go check him out. Also, if you guys liked this look, definitely leave me a comment and let me know what you think. If you want to see any tutorials for any specific looks, also feel free to leave those in the comments. I'm always looking for suggestions. And with all of that being said, I hope you guys liked this makeup, and I will see you in the next one. Stay spooky. I love you guys. Bye.